Taiwan is a relatively small island with an outsized role in world affairs. Officially, its government calls itself the Republic of China, or ROC. But internationally, the name Taiwan is far more familiar, and it points to a place whose identity, history, and political status are deeply contested. Located in East Asia, Taiwan sits in the northwestern Pacific Ocean between the East China Sea and the South China Sea. To its northwest is the People's Republic of China, to its northeast is Japan, and to its south are the Philippines. That position makes Taiwan more than just an island on a map. It is a crossroads between major sea routes, major economies, and major political tensions. Around 23.9 million people live there, making it one of the most densely populated places in the world. Understanding Taiwan means understanding how geography, migration, empire, civil war, democracy, and global diplomacy all became compressed into one island. Geographically, Taiwan is dramatic and uneven. The main island, historically known in the West as Formosa, covers about 35,808 square kilometers. But the territories controlled by the ROC include 168 islands in total, covering about 36,193 square kilometers. The eastern two-thirds of the main island are dominated by mountain ranges, while the western third is flatter and more suited to dense settlement, farming, ports, and cities. This geography helped shape Taiwan's society. Most of the population is concentrated along the western plains, where urban centers grew rapidly and connected to global trade. The largest metropolitan area is built around Taipei, the capital, together with New Taipei City and Keelung. Taiwan's mountains, coastlines, and crowded cities create a sharp contrast, a physically rugged island that has become highly urbanized, technologically advanced, and tightly linked to the global economy. Taiwan's human history reaches far back before modern political disputes. People have lived on the island for at least 25,000 years. The ancestors of Taiwan's indigenous peoples arrived around 6,000 years ago, building communities with languages and cultures connected to the wider Austronesian world. This matters because Taiwan's story did not begin with modern China, Japan, or European colonialism. It had its own societies long before the arrival of large numbers of Han Chinese migrants. Indigenous peoples remain an important part of Taiwan's identity today, even though they became minorities over time. Their history reminds us that Taiwan has always been shaped by movement across the sea, migration, trade, contact, and conquest. The island's location made it accessible, but also vulnerable to outside powers that saw strategic or economic value in controlling it. A major turning point came in the 17th century, when large-scale Han Chinese migration began under Dutch colonial rule. The Dutch East India Company controlled parts of Taiwan during this period and encouraged economic development, especially agriculture and trade. Han Chinese settlers, many from the southeastern coast of China, arrived in increasing numbers. After Dutch rule, Taiwan came under the Kingdom of Tungning, founded by forces loyal to the Ming dynasty after the Ming had fallen on the mainland. This was the first predominantly Han Chinese state in Taiwan's history. These events transformed the island's population and society. Taiwan became more deeply connected to Chinese-speaking communities across the Taiwan Strait, while indigenous peoples were pushed, absorbed, or displaced in many areas. By the end of the 17th century, Taiwan was no longer simply a frontier island, it had become a contested political territory. In 1683, the Qing dynasty annexed Taiwan, incorporating it into the Chinese imperial system. Qing control, however, was often uneven. Taiwan was geographically separated from the mainland and difficult to govern, with mountains, indigenous territories, settler tensions, and periodic rebellions. Still, Qing rule deepened migration and administration, especially in the western plains. Then, in 1895, after China's defeat in the First Sino-Japanese War, the Qing ceded Taiwan to the Empire of Japan. This began 50 years of Japanese colonial rule. Japan invested heavily in infrastructure, public health, education, railways, and industry, but it also ruled Taiwan as an imperial possession. The Japanese period left lasting marks on Taiwan's institutions, urban planning, and modernization. It also separated Taiwan's political development from mainland China during a crucial half-century when both China and Japan were being transformed by war, nationalism, and empire. After World War II, Japan surrendered, and the Republic of China took control of Taiwan. The ROC had been founded in 1912 after the fall of the Qing dynasty, with Sun Yat-sen as a central revolutionary figure. But the ROC's control over Taiwan soon became tied to a much larger conflict, the Chinese Civil War. On the mainland, the ruling Kuomintang, or KMT, fought the Chinese Communist Party. In 1949, the Communists won control of mainland China and established the People's Republic of China. The ROC government, led by the KMT, retreated to Taiwan. This moment is central to Taiwan's modern political status. The government that moved to Taiwan still called itself the Republic of China and claimed, for decades, to represent all of China. Meanwhile, the new government in Beijing claimed Taiwan as part of its territory. Two rival governments now claimed legitimacy over China, but only one controlled Taiwan. For much of the post-war period, Taiwan was ruled as a one-party state under the Kuomintang. Martial law restricted political opposition, speech, and civil society. The government promoted a Chinese national identity and maintained the idea that the ROC was the legitimate government of all China. At the same time, Taiwan's society was changing. People who had lived through Japanese rule, indigenous communities, earlier Han settlers, and post-1949 arrivals from the mainland all had different memories and identities. These tensions shaped politics beneath the surface. The state emphasized unity and anti-communism, especially during the Cold War, when Taiwan received support from the United States and other anti-communist partners. But the system was authoritarian. Taiwan's later democratic transformation is significant because it did not simply create elections, it opened the door to debates over identity, history, rights, and the island's future. Beginning in the early 1960s, Taiwan experienced rapid economic growth and industrialization, often called the Taiwan Miracle. The island shifted toward an export-oriented economy, producing goods for global markets. Manufacturing became central, especially steel, machinery, electronics, and chemicals. Taiwan's dense population, improving education, industrial policy, and links to international trade helped transform it from a relatively poor post-war society into a developed economy. Today, Taiwan ranks among the world's largest economies by nominal GDP and purchasing power measures. Its economic model connected local factories, skilled workers, small and medium-sized businesses, and eventually advanced technology supply chains. This growth also changed social expectations. A richer, more educated population increasingly pushed for political openness, civil liberties, and accountable government. Economic development did not automatically produce democracy, but in Taiwan it helped create the conditions for a society that demanded more participation. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Taiwan underwent one of Asia's most important democratic transitions. Martial law was lifted, opposition parties gained space, and the political system moved away from one-party rule. In 1996, Taiwan held its first direct presidential election. That was a historic milestone because it gave citizens the power to choose their head of state through democratic vote. Since then, Taiwan has developed into a multi-party democracy with competitive elections, peaceful transfers of power, a vibrant media environment, and strong civil society. It is ranked highly in civil liberties, healthcare, and human development. This democratic identity is now central to how many people in Taiwan understand their society. Taiwan is not only an economic success story, it is also a political transformation story. Its democracy stands out because it emerged under the shadow of an unresolved conflict with a far larger neighbor. Taiwan's international status is one of the most complicated questions in modern diplomacy. The Republic of China was once a founding member of the United Nations. But in 1971, the United Nations voted to recognize the People's Republic of China as China's representative instead. After that, the ROC lost its UN seat. For years, the ROC maintained that it was the sole legitimate government of China. But in 1991, it stopped treating the Chinese Communist Party simply as a rebellious group and acknowledged that the PRC controlled mainland China. Still, the political dispute remained. Beijing claims Taiwan as part of the PRC and refuses diplomatic relations with countries that officially recognize the ROC. As a result, Taiwan has formal diplomatic relations with only a small number of UN member states, plus the Holy See. Yet many countries maintain unofficial ties through representative offices that function much like embassies. This creates a strange reality. Taiwan acts in many ways like a country, but is often blocked from being treated as one in international organizations. Where the PRC participates, Taiwan is frequently denied membership or allowed to participate only under special names or non-state arrangements. This affects diplomacy, global health, aviation, sports, and trade. However, Taiwan's economic importance and democratic system mean that many countries still engage with it unofficially. The ambiguity is deliberate. For many governments, recognizing the PRC while maintaining practical relations with Taiwan is a way to balance economic interests, security concerns, and diplomatic pressure from Beijing. But ambiguity has limits. Every official statement, military exercise, election result, or change in international recognition can become politically sensitive. Taiwan's status is not just a legal question. It is a live geopolitical issue involving national identity, sovereignty, military risk, and the balance of power in East Asia. Inside Taiwan, politics has long been shaped by two broad camps. The Pan-Blue Coalition, historically associated with the Kuomintang, has favored closer links with China and, in older formulations, eventual Chinese unification under the Republic of China. It has also tended to promote a broader Chinese identity. The Pan-Green Coalition has emphasized a distinct Taiwanese identity and has been associated with the idea of eventual Taiwan independence. But in the 21st century, both sides have moderated their positions to appeal to a wider public. Most people in Taiwan live with the practical reality of self-government while also recognizing the risks of dramatic change. Many favor maintaining the status quo, even if they disagree on what Taiwan ultimately is or should become. This is why Taiwan cannot be reduced to a simple slogan. It is an island with ancient roots, layered histories, a powerful economy, a hard-won democracy, and an unresolved future at the center of regional and global politics. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.